getting our Knoxville Nationals started here with what could be one of the more crucial parts of our whole entire weekend. It's where we draw in. Just got our pit passes, gonna walk up. There is a 1 through a 75, and where you draw is also where you park. So when you kind of look at the infield, if you're on the front stretch, you probably did good. If you're on the back stretch, you got a little bit more of an uphill battle, but we're gonna go and pull and try to get as close to the #1 spot as possible.
Those, please. Hand it to me. Are you counting a certain number?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the trend so far.
Is it?
That's so far.
24?
Another good. Okay, so that was actually wild. You would not think there's any strategy to draw. So I was originally going to go to the bottom one because that's what I did for 360s, just like, or it would be the bottom or what you would consider the first envelope. But Rico was ahead of me. I think it was Forbrook and then KTJ, and they all did the third one. And I'm like, I have to keep the trend up because they all got between 9 and like 20 or 18, and I got a 24. So not too bad. Good start to our Nationals. So everyone has made it here on the infield for the Thursday night prelim of the Knoxville Nationals. We're about a half hour away from all the action starting. Not gonna lie, tonight is probably the stacked of the two. A lot of heavy hitters. I actually, for the most part, didn't even look at the entry list. I'm like, all right, I'm going Thursday. We're just here. We're showing up like it's any other race, and it happens to just be the Knoxville Nationals. Ready to get after it. You gotta remember with this format, it's all about points. So we're gonna qualify, we're gonna run a heat race, and we're gonna run a main event. And you gather points every single time you're on track, and qualifying is so valuable to where if you get top of the charts, if you are quick time, that can be just enough to lock you into the show with not necessarily maybe the results you would expect in your other runnings. So the simplest way to explain it is you just have to try to gather the best result every single time you're on track. There's no sandbagging with this. There's no trying to hit the invert. You just got to try to go fast and pass cars. Now luckily with that good draw, that's going to be very key to hopefully helping our success in qualifying and carrying it into a heat race and a main event. Water trucks out there rolling around. They just finished prepping the surface. Looks pretty wet, but this place can be deceiving. It's real warm today. There's a lot of cars. I think it's gonna start out fast and get wide in a hurry. Go from down low with a little bit of grip all the way up to maybe a cushion or curb or some sort of moisture up by the fence. Drivers meetings in a little bit. We're focused in. This is our biggest race of the year, and it's so important to try to do all we can tonight to set us up for the rest of the weekend.
Second, and then he ran the bottom both corners and was 0.92 off
watching as we just wrapped up qualifying. Felt like I laid down almost the best possible time that I could have. Had good guys ahead of me, good guys behind me, and that's the problem. So went out, 14th car, was 3rd quick behind Brad and Rico. I was about 2/10 off Rico and about a 10th off Brad, and I stuck the bottom on my 2nd lap to get to that time. And it felt really good. Like I just knew right away that I was somewhere towards the top. I just wasn't sure exactly where. Rolled around and saw me, you know, sitting 3rd and was pretty pumped. Just wish we could have got maybe a little bit more, because the problem with this many good cars in the pit area, it's not like we're safe. We've already dropped down to 6th, and I almost feel like the bottom is starting to get a little better as some of the grease is burning off, and you can just get that much lower with your left front near the berm. See where we end up. Felt like we did a good job for where we're at, and hopefully we can hang out in the top 10 for some solid points rolling into the heats. Heat race time, guys. Heading out now. We're in the first heat, qualified 6th, starting 7th. So 8-car invert. We must go forward to the top 4. Zoned in, car should be good. Gotta go. Disappointing there in that heat race. I knew we were in a really tough spot. Not only rolling off from 7th in general, I feel like with this heat race format, it's just not ideal. That's why I really wanted to be 5th in qualifying, because that would have put us 8th in the last heat, or at some point maybe just get kicked back to like 11th and you get to start one row up on the outside. Of course, in my heat race, you know, there was all really fast cars around me, and I was just hoping that maybe if I could get through turn 1 well, and some of the other guys wouldn't, that would be my best shot. The racetrack was just so fast on the bottom, it was difficult to pass, and sure enough, the inside row didn't get going as good in a cup full. I think it was Macedo on the outside was able to sneak even in front of the car in front of me, so we just got backed up, and from there, my first couple laps, I was running it as hard as I could trying, but I think I was almost making a couple more mistakes because I just wasn't able to settle down. The racetrack still has a little slime, so it's easy to get your left sides in it, and you spin, and you almost get like really loose, so it's hard to see the definition between where there's grip, where there's a little bit of slime when you're going so fast and you're trying to make up ground because you're already behind. And realistically, probably my first 7 or 8 laps weren't that great. I missed my marks a little bit. I was trying to hit the bottom so good. I think I was just entering too soon to make sure I was in it, which actually was kicking me off of it, because you get in and you almost get to the center at the wrong spot, and then you can't make the corner, where the last couple laps I got up a little bit more and had a really good arc, and it got me to center and it drove me off straighter, and I made way more speed, but just too late and just didn't have a great heat race with where we were positioned. But it is what it is, and now we'll just have to move on to a B and try to watch and just be a little bit better. Hopefully the racetrack also gets a little bit more, gets more multiple lanes, so we can kind of move around and do what we need to do to transfer. So really intense B main up next. We're gonna be starting 3rd. They're gonna be taking the top 4. We only gotta run 12 laps. We gotta run 12 really good laps. Rico's on the pole, Kofoid's front row outside, and I think I'm lining up next to Pittman. Racetrack has shown that the bottom has speed all night. The top is just really crumbly, and there's not as much of a ledge or anything for your right rear to kind of grab and build speed. So anyway, it's all gonna come down to the start here. We're working on making our race car better, trying to get a little more side by, a little more right rear stick. The bottom is starting to slow down though, so we're gonna have to work on hitting it, and then also watching for the middle, and maybe if the top does come in, if the bottom slows down enough. But as of right now, it's just been better on that side of the racetrack. As I said though, we got to run 12 good laps. If we can get in the show here, we can kind of keep tonight alive and try to jump back into it. That heat race just it just sucked how it all played out. There's a lot of factors, and it was tough, and starting 7th, and that's frustrating, but we also have to kind of just put that behind us and look ahead on at this B, because it's going to be really, really important. And that's just pull a tear off, and it's in the wind. But gonna strap in here soon. We just have a few minutes before we'll be heading out. crazy amount to say. Just barely missed locking into our prelim night. Started third there and finished fifth. Just did not set the tone well on the first couple of laps. My start was good, you know, coming off of turn 4, but getting into 1, I got off the gas too soon, pushed me tight, got me back here. So I basically went from tight on the right front, then like skating, trying to stay on the bottom. I still came out battling for third down the backstretch, but just didn't make a good first lap, and that just kind of set the tone. And I was, you know, instead of maybe being an offense, you know, getting out front and going, or not out front, but in clean track, I was trying to defend from the guys behind me. So I think at one point I dropped back to 6th, and then I got back to 5th, and I wasn't too far behind Pittman there at the end, but I just, you know, little too much, little too late. Just needed to, if I could have ran the first half of the race kind of like I got going in the second half, it might have been a different story. Car felt better. I felt especially better around the high side, which it's a long ways around. I just still need to work on the bottom. The bottom is so tricky here with the berm, with how narrow it is, with how fast but slow you have to go. It's probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to do in a sprint car, trying to figure it out and then figure out what the car needs to be better down there. So we'll keep digging. Didn't make it into tonight's show, which means we're moving on to Hard Knocks night, which sucks because we were in such a good spot with qualifying, but things kind of just fell apart from there. You can hear Johnny Gibson though. They're about to do the feature, so we're gonna, you know, watch and try to learn and just be better. So we got everything back to our parking spot. Just trying to pick up our mess so we can go and get the 18T all washed up and ready for Hard Knocks night. Can't lie, this place is as tough as it gets. It's one humbling racetrack, and just being here at the Nationals, sometimes I have to reset and remember that we're at the biggest sprint car race in the whole entire world. It's funny how your expectations change as you get up to speed, and you know, I expect us to lock into Saturday's A main event, or that was my goal coming into it. Unfortunately tonight we didn't fulfill it, but I think the disappointing part is mainly that we had a shot with how we qualified. Qualifying's everything in this format, and to go out there and at one point after our lap to see us right behind Rico and Brad was really cool, and thought that if we could have just got a little bit more, we could have been closer to them. But then just, you know, ended up falling a little farther than I would have hoped. It would have been really nice to stay in that top 5, and falling to 6th, then putting us on the inside row in the first heat when the track's narrow, just set us back. And then, you know, no excuse, we could have got through that B, but made some mistakes, and the main one was on the first lap. I just did not charge into the corner, and I knew that I needed to do that. I was worried about missing the bottom, because if you miss it, you're completely screwed, but in trying to not miss it, I missed it because the car pushed, didn't carry enough mile per hour. And then, you know, like I said, the B main event was a struggle trying to just get in that rhythm because you're already playing defense so early on in the race. But it's easy to critique all that stuff now. At the end of the day, we're there. We're so much farther along with our 410 program, you know, now than we were earlier in the trip. And a lot of that, I got to give a huge shout out to John Agan, who has been crew chiefing my stuff from 360 Nationals to now. John's really been helping me get up to speed, and, you know, helping with car setup and with me as a driver. He used to race here a lot, so that has been huge, along with the rest of my crew, Carly, Skyler, my dad, mom, my family, for supporting us, or, you know, for supporting me. It's truly such a blessing to be here in the sprint car capital of the world. I just want it bad, and I feel like with how well we started the night, we had a shot at potentially locking in if just, you know, we crossed off a couple more boxes and we just didn't get it done. So with that, there's 4 more golden tickets being handed out tomorrow for Hard Knocks night. Last thing, just got to keep working on being better on this track, and specifically in what is known as dirty air. Now, dirty air is when you're behind cars, you're in a pack, you're just not out front where your nose is clean. And the reason it's so hard to be good in dirty air is because your car is constantly changing and being upset because of the other guys around you, and you have to be so particular about where you put your vehicle to make speed and to continue getting around the track. So you want to work on that with your setup, but you also have to work on it as a driver and just being smart and figuring out how to be smart on these big half-mile racetracks where there's just so much mile per hour, or wing speed we would call it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to all my partners that helped get me here. It's incredible. We're literally at the sprint car capital of the world. We're battling with the best drivers on the planet, and we're closer than we've ever been, and we've come so far, but I'm so hungry to keep at it. I mean, we're so close in some ways. We just gotta work on the little things and keep working on our whole package. thank you guys so much for watching. I love what I get to do. I love bringing you along with me for the journey. And we're gonna keep our heads down and finish this trip strong. Deuces.